For everybody, I'm Dr. Samir Vakil. I'm president of FPMA. Thank you for joining our 401k presentation today. Our office has 6 physicians and 17 staff. We switched over to the FPMA 401k, almost 2 years ago. And so we've done very well with it. It was an easy transition. They did a side-by-side comparison to our existing plan, and it was much less expensive with all the fees that they could show you, and so it was an easy transition for us. And so we have members, JP and Christian from Evershore, Rachel from Transamerica, and T from Pinnacle, and they all are putting together a team approach, and they all have different jobs. So I will have them kind of go through what they do for the team approach for this plan. All right, you guys are up.
Perfect. So my name's Christian Rasband. I'm a financial advisor with Evershore Financial Group and have had a relationship with the FPMA now for about 4 years in coming out to the meetings, and we had worked with the FPMA plan to put in place a multiple employer plan, which is a 401k plan that members of the association that can join together and receive some wonderful benefits. Dr. Vakil was an early adopter to the multiple employer plan, and think for a second when he talks about less fees that are being paid out, and that means that money, rather than going to a financial professional or some company, is actually staying in your employees' retirement account balances and getting compounding interest on that. So it's a wonderful benefit for your employees, and it's an important thing to benchmark your plan, and I'm very confident with the solution we have in place for the FPMA that you would find great savings when it comes to fees. I mentioned we've had a 4-year partnership with FPMA. We are a comprehensive financial planning firm. Just a quick note on that. We've helped members of the association with everything from disability insurance, life insurance, long-term care, college planning for kids, retirement planning, and helping physicians as they retire as well with the appropriate planning there. But the main thing we want to focus on and talk about today, obviously, is this multiple employer plan. We're very excited about it. We've had a number of adopters within the association, and hoping to do as many type of Zoom opportunities like this. We'll definitely be at the association meeting coming up in January to continue to get the word out on this wonderful benefit which the FPMA offers. We're going to talk today. So JP and I, we focus in on helping members making the investment decisions and giving some guidance there. We have Rachel Walsh, who's with Transamerica, and we have T. Robinson as well as with Pinnacle, and each one of us play an important role in helping the plans get started. This multiple employer plan, you have the ability to have cost savings, and shift the liability off of your particular practice onto the association's plan, and save money along the way, and you still get to customize it the way that you want your plan to be established for your practice. So we want today to familiarize you a little bit more with this wonderful benefit being offered with the FPMA, and turn some time over to JP to further introduce Rachel and T, and see if there's anything else that I missed. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, we're excited about this call and the opportunity to present to you. You may have seen us at the conventions that FPMA puts on. We're there every year, each one of those. So some of your faces I recognize. I'm not sure if we've met in person yet, but we recognize you from the conventions. So good to see you. But yeah, we're just excited to present this to you guys. And again, it's being able to advertise that you have a retirement plan when you look for qualified employees to join your practice. It's always a good thing. So this is an opportunity, if you don't have a retirement plan yet, opportunity to implement one. And again, if you have one in place already, it may make sense to make the switch if the cost savings is there and to take advantage of that benefit through the FPMA. So, you know, Rachel and Teal will kind of get into details of it, but there's a big shift off of maintenance that the individual practice is required to do, the auditing, the tax filing, all those things. Many of those activities are shifted off of the practice and allow you to do what you do best, and then Transamerica and Pinnacle does what they do best and takes care of all of that. So that's what we're excited about, and we want to introduce to you Rachel and T. Most likely, if anybody is wanting to talk more about the MEP plan, Rachel is the first one that you would talk to. So she's the name that I give your name to her. She makes the initial contact, and that's where the ball rolls. And from there, she passes off to T. And so I'm going to introduce them and let them talk about the process that you can expect to go through when you are inquiring or want to make the shift into this MEP. So Rachel, T, thank you for joining us, and
Sure.
feel free to take over.
Thank you. Thank you, John Paul, Christian, and Dr. Fagil for the warm introduction. As they mentioned, my name's Rachel. I am with Transamerica, who serves as the program record keeper. As part of our commitment, we provide access to the most competitive tools, services, and solutions, and we're very excited to partner with the FPMA on their 401k retirement plan. A little blip about Transamerica and why we're in this space. We presently service over 5 million retirement plan participants. We've been helping people save and invest for retirement for more than 80 years, and we were one of the original pioneers in multiple employer plans. Transamerica provides administration for nearly 280 different multiple employer plans that cover about 13,000 adopting employers. So some of the benefits that you're going to see from a multiple employer plan is the plan design, flexibility. That's the first point that we would discuss. And that is just going to be unique for your employee demographic and your business need. And this is the point in time where we would have our discussion, and I would assist you in designing your program if you're setting up a brand new retirement plan, or I would evaluate your existing retirement plan if you're comparing it to what the FPMA program would offer to you. The other benefit that you'll see is that there's a pre-selected investment menu in target date solutions, so that you as the employer don't have to take on the fiduciary oversight of the investments. That's going to be left to the FPMA's investment committee along with the gentleman at Evershore. Another one of the benefits is the potential for reduced cost. That's going to come from, plan audits. There's not going to be a plan audit depending upon the size of your practice. We also take on the non-discrimination testing, the annual IRS reporting, the document preparation, and participant statements and mailing of required notices. So this is where if you have an existing retirement plan that we can evaluate any cost savings, I would probably get some information from you as far as your current fee disclosures, and I can work with JP and Christian on that to look at a side-by-side comparison to see if you would have some savings moving on board with the FPMA program. One of the other benefits is online account management resources, which is going to be available to participants to be able to manage their account whenever they want, by way of either our website, of course, or our mobile app, so they can do it on the go. In addition to that, we do provide participant education support, which is available through our dedicated enrollment teams. We offer enrollment meetings mostly through webinars at this point in time of COVID. So we, typically would have done in-person meetings as well, but right now everything's online. So we are doing webinars. We can also record meetings and do pre-recorded meetings as well. So that can be sent out at any point in time. And we have bilingual specialists in both English and Spanish, and our materials would come in both as well. Some of the other benefits are for participants as our on-track tool, which would make it easy for participants to see how they're doing on their retirement journey. The Outlook shows how likely their investment strategy would be to whatever their desired income is in retirement. And then lastly, the participants are going to have access to our wealth and health resources, which is in place to help employees understand the connection between wealth and health. Many of our online features and participant marketing collateral centers around much of that concept. When you guys are ready to learn more about the specifics of the program and initiate the setup under the FPMA 401k, we would establish a meeting to discuss the features and benefits of the retirement plan in more detail, go through pricing, go through the plan provisions in which your design selections would be made. And then we would start on the completion of one of the documents of a checklist of items that would probably take us no longer than 20 to 30 minutes of your time if you wanted to do it before work, during lunch hour, or after work. And then from that data, I would collect from you. At that point, I would loop in T from Pinnacle, who serves as the plan administrator, to set in motion the logistics of plan implementation, which can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks on average. So from there, I'll turn it over to T to discuss Pinnacle's role in this and what that setup and implementation phase looks like. T?
Perfect. Hey guys, so my name's T. I'm with Pinnacle Financial, where you're a third-party plan administrator. We work hand in hand with Transamerica. So pretty much your first step is speaking with Rachel through the installation process, and then your next step would be with me. I would pretty much review the checklist with you to make sure that's in good order. If I have any other questions or any additional provisions that we need questions to be answered. After that, I would go ahead and create the plan document. And then Tyler and I will both work with you in regards to installing the payroll file process, getting your payroll file submitted to us on what we do with the reconciling of that payroll file submission and how it gets over to Transamerica after. And then we do also assist in any loans or distributions that need to be completed by the employer for any employees requesting for it. And pretty much that's like a very high scope of what we do. It's way more in depth, but if you have any questions in regards to any assistance with any of the following I've mentioned, let me know.
Hey, T, can you walk us through a timeline? Let's say someone inquires about it today. What's the good timeline that they can expect from now till when it's implemented?
Yeah, so a startup plan usually timeline, it goes for about, I'd say about 30 to 45 days. If it's a plan with prior assets from a prior investment company, it would be between 45 to 60 days due to the fact that we have to set a blackout date, which is usually 30 to 45 days of when the blackout notices are sent out to the employees within the employer group.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else to share?
No, that's pretty much it. Of course, there's way more details to go over with an employer once they're onboarding, but just to give like a wide overscope of everything, that's pretty much it.
What about documents that you work on your side, T, once we submit the initial information over to you? Is there forms that they have to complete, or is that something?
Yeah, so the
Pinnacle?
participation agreement is one of the next steps that are completed once the checklist is completed, and that goes in hands with, if I have any additional questions of any provisions that were not answered on the checklist, I would bring it up to the employer at that time so we can kind of discuss and walk through what fits best for the employer and their group.
We have installation calls along the way. So however you want to proceed, we have an initial installation call between Transamerica Pinnacle and the employer that would decide to adopt onto the plan. Generally, we have one initial kickoff call, and then from there, it's up to you if you want to do those weekly or if you would prefer to have updates sent via email. So we kind of take it from there in your direction on that as well. But as T said, that would go up until the date that the plan launches, and of course on takeover plans when the assets come over.
There really is a lot of flexibility the individual practices have in making decisions on how they're going to structure their particular plan for their office. You can decide on your match, you can decide on vesting options, things along those lines, when you can become eligible to participate in the plan. So I think it's an important element to note that although this is an association or a multiple employer plan, you still have the flexibility to structure this for the most part, how you want to for your particular practice. Some of the things that are selected as a whole, some of the investment selections and things along those lines are made for the multiple employer plan as a whole. So you do adopt some of those investment options, but so far we've had a very positive experience with the investment options that have been selected by the multiple employer plan. It's not like every mutual fund in there that you're selecting from is a Transamerica mutual fund. We have funds from a lot of great fund companies across the industry, and really give you some great options in there. So in general, the feeling and hopefully the takeaway would be is that you're not losing anything by moving forward with the FPMA plan. And what you're gaining is hopefully some cost savings. You're shifting some of the liability off of your shoulders by being an adopter and being a part of the plan. And you're hopefully shifting off some of the administrative tasks and things like that come off your shoulders that are now that are being taken on by the multiple employer plan. So hopefully it's something to where if you don't have a plan currently established, that you would give us an opportunity to tell you how this may apply to your practice and what it may look like. Or if you do have a plan with some assets, you might give us an opportunity to benchmark your current plan to give you an idea of how it would compare. Dr. Vakil had mentioned that he walked through that process and found it to where this was a very intriguing and compelling option, and he's been now involved with it for a number of years and had a great experience. So,
The idea here is strength in numbers. So the more participants we have in the plan, the stronger the plan is, then the fees start to come down over time. So that's our goal, is to grow this to a much bigger plan than what an individual plan would be. And again, strength in numbers is kind of the idea behind this.
Could you give us
a couple key points that I wanted to take away from this is that we opened up this FPMA plan so that it didn't matter how many people you had in your practice. You know, if you were a single provider or if you had a group, you were still paying the same amount of fees. You know, when we first started our pension plan in our office, it was like 2 doctors and 5 staff. And the threshold for the fees is much higher because you have no assets. And so you're automatically coming into the FPMA plan with multi-million-dollar assets in the fund. And so your fees are automatically lower from the get-go. Secondly, like they were saying, you can pick any structure you want. We wanted to keep our same structure and our match. And so they did a free side-by-side comparison. In our office, probably, JP and Christian, let me know, we've probably saved, what, $20,000, $30,000 a year in fees?
Yeah, and again, that's money that's going right back into the participant's pockets.
Right.
That's the biggest thing to think about. As you compound that over years, that's going to be a significant amount of money that's going to be in your employees and you as the physicians within the practice in your 401k balances. So it really is a huge difference.
Yeah.
And even if you have your old plan, you have no idea what your fees are, you know, and so JP, Christian, and Rachel had a great job of analyzing all the fees and the fees that you see plus the hidden fees, you know, and comparing it to what they offer, you know, because you see the fees on there, but there's always these hidden fees that you have no idea about. And that might be 1 or 2%, which is a ton of money year after year after year.
Well, one other thing, Dr. Vakil, if I can add to that, is also there are typically on the TPA fees, we've found that what we're able to do, because it's part of a multiple employer plan, the TPA fees are also much less. So it's not just the percentage fees you're seeing on the funds and things that are built into it that way, but it's also from the TPA standpoint, a lot of plans would charge, you know, thousands of dollars as a startup cost to get some of these plans rolling, and Pinnacle's fees are much, much lower than that. And so they're an important partner in this whole thing as well.
in our old plan, I was actually the third-party administrator, and so I had to go through 2 IRS audits, and so they actually sat with me for 3 to 5 days each for the audits and stuff, and I passed and stuff with everything, but the FPMA takes complete control of that because you are no longer the third-party administrator.
Yeah, imagine it'd be nice to pass off those duties to somebody else and not have to go through that twice.
Yes, it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Well, we can open up to questions if anybody has questions for any of us, for Rachel, for T, for us.
Yes, I'd like to understand, we've got 2 positions in our office and 10 employees. Could you give us an idea of is there initial startup fees for getting involved? And then how do you go about finding out what your level of investment is for your individual employees? I understand that you can contribute as much or as little as you care to. Could you give me an idea of the lowest that you're required to invest for an employee so that you can still, participate in a 401k?
That's a really loaded question to where it's really a much better one-on-one question where we can take a little bit of a dive into your plan and give you some more detailed answers. You have a full range when it comes to the match or no match, but there's also consequences that kind of come with that as well that you have to take into consideration. So I'll give it to Rachel to try and give a 30,000 foot view, but I think to get into some of your specific questions, maybe should have a one-on-one call. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as Christian said, it is, it can go a couple of different directions. The plan could obviously be set up to, with as little or as much that you wanted to put in as an employer. As far as the initial setup costs go, I mean, it's just an installation charge of $350 that, we would charge to get you up and running on the plan and the documents drafted and whatnot. But as far as company contributions go, if the physicians wanted to maximize out their contribution, I mean, we, would want to probably look at full scope as to plan design as far as, do you guys want to max out and get to the ultimate of $57,000 savings for the year? Then, we'll talk about plan design as far as a 401k match, and then in addition to a profit sharing contribution and look at the different features within each. To avoid having any, IRS hiccups, we'll say that. With non-discrimination testing, we would probably go down the path of at least setting up a portion of the 401k piece as safe harbor to get the physicians to that 57,000 from, a feature of putting in additional profit sharing to where you have to pass certain testing on that. We would probably look at maybe new comparability. So I'd like to sit down and discuss it specifically to your organization with you. You're not required to put in any type of company contribution if you don't want to, and limit it to just having the employees defer from their pay, but then you run the risks of the non-discrimination testing as well. So I can cover all, the testing with you in greater detail and explain it to you and how it works and what the implications are and that. So, Christian.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yep. Rachel, there was a question in the chat that is basically what you just said, but if you can do it in a little bit different terminology. Dr. Schwibish said, do you offer a safe harbor 401k option with variable level stages of matching for employees? Again, it's pretty much in line with what you just said, but if you'll use that kind of lingo in answering the same question, that'd be great.
Yep. So safe harbor is definitely a feature within this plan. You can set it up a variety of ways, and I don't think I have the adoption agreement right in front of me. Maybe I do. But you have the option of setting up a safe harbor matching program to where the company's matching to what the employees are putting in. You also have the option of putting in a safe harbor non-elective program, which is just a flat contribution that goes into the participants' accounts, whether or not they participate. So there's a couple of different parameters there. They do offer QACA as well, right? So we could make it a qualified automatic contribution arrangement with Safe Harbor. So
Yes.
yes, so there's different variables within Safe Harbor. We would just have to outline the best one for each, organization.
There are so many different options and ways to set these up. And really one of the great things that we go through with each individual adopter is we really kind of walk through what are your goals, what's the makeup of your practice versus, how many physicians versus how many employees, how much are you looking personally to contribute? How much do you feel like your employees are looking to contribute? All these different questions. Although they might seem like we're just trying to get endless amounts of information from you, it really makes all the difference in structuring the plan to where it's going to be most advantageous for your practice and for what you're exactly trying to accomplish. So there are so many different ways that we can structure this, and again, we'd love the opportunity to chat with anybody individually to have those conversations and figure out what might work for your practice particularly. So.
Very good. Any further questions? All right. Well, the next step would be if anybody's interested in learning more about it or wanting to talk with Rachel, Rachel, you can give your information or they can email us and we can pass the names on to you as we get the inquiries. That's how it usually goes, is when someone tells us that they want to learn more, we'll pass it to you. Again, she's the first line of defense. She's the one that you'll talk to first, and they will take good care of you. Their communication is top notch. They communicate with us back and forth all the time, and T does a great job with communicating and laying out what's needed also. So you'd be in good hands if you want to learn more.
Yep, and it's a free, it's free side-by-side analysis of your pension plan, or if you don't have a pension plan, they can sit down with you and give you some options.
Correct. Yep.
I was just going to mention, if you're on the call, you might get an email from us just asking if you had some any further questions, or if you want some more information or want to look closer into this. So maybe watch for that email and just let us know if we can help in any way.
Also, we there was a door prize offered, and a random name was drawn. And let me see if yes. So Dr. Sarah Zaidi, did I say that right? I believe she was the winner of the Visa gift card. And so
Awesome.
Dr. Zaidi, you will be receiving that when we get your information, passing that on to you. So congrats.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for your time.
Yep, reach out to them or FPMA and we will get you in contact with them.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel and T.
All right.
Sure,
Thank you.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for your
All
time.
right, guys. Thank
All
you.
right.
Everybody.
All right.
Bye.
All right.